Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we find out about Humberside Police's new speed awareness campaign. And my guests tonight are North East Lincolnshire musicians Rob Distant and Ben Jones from Chariots, talking about their forthcoming gig. Welcome to Estuary News. I'm Emma Lingard. Now it's over to Erica Barker for the news headlines.
The elderly and vulnerable people across North East Lincolnshire could be hit financially as the council launches plans to save £1 million. Changes to the adult social care budget will go before the council's cabinet next week. It's thought the programme of cuts includes a rise in the cost of the Meals on Wheels service and also an increase in assisted transport costs. A shopping centre in Hull is to undergo a multi-million pound revamp. Princess Quay in the centre of the city is in talks with high-end brands and restaurant chains with the hope that the investment, thanks to a Saudi Arabian investor, will attract more people through the doors. The Tour de Yorkshire could be returning to East Yorkshire next year. It's thought around 30,000 people attended the landmark cycling race, which took place in May, and Hull City Council say they've submitted an expression of interest. One of the men involved in the Great Train robbery was signing copies of his autobiography in Grimsby yesterday. Tommy Wilsby was part of the gang that escaped with £2.6 million from the Glasgow to London mail train on the 8th of August in 1963. He was sentenced to 30 years for the crime, but after release was jailed again for cocaine dealing.
Well, the book is not actually, well, the book is more upon my life story and the crime I was involved with, which was the Great Train robbery, and growing up and such, you know, going in the army, plus evacuation, the war, then coming out of prison, and then proceeded with my life.
The head of the Humbers Port Complex has announced his resignation. John Fitzgerald is the area's director at Associated British Ports, ABP, and responsible for operations on both banks of the estuary. And every college in Hull has been rated as good or outstanding. For the first time, post-16-year-olds are guaranteed a high standard of education. That's according to Watchdog Ofsted. If you have any stories for us, contact us on 0172 315561. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you, Erica. Now, my guests tonight are part of a 6-piece neo-psychedelic band called Chariots, and in a couple of weeks will be supporting the Pigeon Detectives in Cleethorpes. Joining me are members Ben Jones and Rob Distant, but before we meet them, here's a clip of their music. Well, here are Ben Jones and Rob Distant from Chariots. That was quite a distinctive sound there. Just explain to me, what is neo-psychedelic music for a start?
I think neo is like a word for new, I think, and then psychedelic's obviously like music that was probably around from the 60s or
Pink Floyd and
things like that, yeah. And so it's just like a modern twist on that. I like our own twist on it, yeah.
Yes, yeah. What influenced you as a band to go with that type of music?
I think we listen to that kind of music ourselves. We're very much into that kind of music. So, you know, if it's from the 60s or whatever, you can run out of bands to listen to.
Yes.
So we got to a point where there's nothing else to listen to, so we had to make the music ourselves.
Right.
So yeah, that's how we managed to do that, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, is the whole band strongly influenced by the 60s sound?
Yeah, we've been really lucky. I mean, I've been in other bands before where we've sort of had this sort of vision of where I wanted to go with the sound, and maybe people were slightly into it, but maybe not as much as I was.
Right.
So I've been really lucky, and we've really like got this lineup together where everyone's, you know, really loving the sound, and it's really genuine.
Yeah.
It's not forced at all. Yeah.
Now, obviously, the pair of you have both been in bands in the area haven't you, for a long time. How long is the chariot? I keep saying the chariots, but it's chariots.
It's an important distinction. There's no the. The last person who said the on the front of my band, well, they haven't been found yet.
I remember that one.
Not really.
How long have you actually been together?
Not
then?
really long. Not that long.
Say about 4 months.
Yeah, about 4
Okay.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
we had a
it's
different
new as
lineup
that.
before, but it was more. That was really psychedelic. But now we've gone a bit more like garage psych freak beat, which is a more pop sound.
Yeah.
You know, like melodic pop, not like some people. The psychedelic bands, it's long rambling jams that are freeform and made up on the spot. We still could do a bit of that, but now we're going for more song-based, sort of really quick pop songs.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like an
So-
Austin Powers film. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, no, you can. You can.
Yeah.
But that's like you say, it's very upbeat. And have you done any, gigs in the area so far?
With this lineup, we haven't.
No,
have
so
we,
our
You
first
haven't?
gig is next weekend at Blind Cat Festival.
Yeah.
That's a lovely place called Caborn Parva, just outside
Yes,
Caister.
yeah.
We have all the great festivals there every summer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's beautiful.
psychedelic festival next weekend. It'll be our first gig, so
Yeah.
we're really looking forward to it.
So, as of yet, you've not been unleashed to
No.
a big audience?
No.
Not this lineup. No,
No, no.
not with it.
What's
like
it
this.
feel like then when you go out on stage, not knowing how you're going to be taken?
Well,
by
we've been practicing at the
people?
Doctor for so long. We do twice a week now, so the sets just become so natural to us.
Yeah.
So when we go up on stage, we're just it'll just be like a practice almost, but
Yeah.
we'll know it's a gig, so we'll be a bit more excited. But
Yeah. And Ben, you play lead guitar,
I do,
don't
yeah.
you? What's it like working with Rob?
interesting. It is very interesting, but it really does bring the best out of my playing. You know,
Yeah.
I've been in other bands before when they've played a bit of lead and say, "Oh no, don't do that. That's been done before." But Rob's like, "No, do that. That's what we want." In
I like
there.
it to be very organic, like the way we work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Try and
yeah.
get the best out of each member, and not be some sort of fascist dictator of the band.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
so
democratic.
You can't do this.
to
You
an
can do
extent.
this. With
Yeah,
Rob,
that's
you can
it.
do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So
Everything.
it's quite nice to have that and be able to evolve in that particular
Yeah, it's a lot of
way.
freedom. I get a lot out of it personally. It's just my own musical sort of adventure. This
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
perfect for me. Yeah.
Because Rob, you've been on Estuary before.
Yes.
And
Loved
you
it.
know
good
you
to be
are, from what I've been told, a man of many musical talents, that you can play a wide variety of instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to play a lot of different things and make the compositions myself. Like I hear the song in my head, and then I'll go into the studio and play the whole song, and then teach it to the band. But it doesn't take a lot of teaching because they are really seasoned musicians, like I said, been in
Yes.
other bands.
Yeah.
And then I let them put their own spin on it. So I'm not like, it don't have to be note perfect. If Ben does it his own way, that's his little twist on it, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I love that.
That's a great way, really, for a band. Because you hear a lot of bands have these spats, and
Yeah,
like you
I know
say,
they
you
could fall out.
control
Yeah, and I don't want. I've had all that, and it's like, it's
It's
a nightmare.
New, fresh start. This.
Yeah, that's
isn't
it. So if it's all organic, everyone can get along, and then hopefully it'll go the distance, won't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you mentioned you write the material. do
So
you?
far, yeah. But I think that's not been by design. That's just been how it's turned out.
We needed songs, didn't we?
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well?
we needed songs.
You had so many songs
Yeah.
ready
Yeah,
to
in
go.
my head, just buzzing around. So I laid them down. Then everyone sort of played them, and they like the songs, which is lucky,
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing. Well, we're going to stop it there, but stay with us because we're going to come back and we'll talk more about Cleethorpes Rocks. Now, speeding can turn into something with deadly consequences. In 2013, 3,064 people were killed in road accidents where speed was a factor. That's why Humberside Police have launched a new campaign aimed at making the public aware of the dangers that a few extra miles an hour can bring. Dave Nunn went along with one of Humberside Police's officers to a speeding hotspot in East Yorkshire.
A few miles an hour can mean the difference between life and death. That's something that Humberside Police is looking to inform the public about this summer as part of a new speeding safety campaign.
Okay, throughout August we will be putting on extra patrols and directing staff to go to key speed enforcement sites. Just so people get the message. Obviously we're into the summer holidays, a lot more children about, so in the built-up areas we're expecting more children. Anything could happen, and just by a slight increased speed of 35 miles an hour and a 30 limit, you're actually twice as likely to kill a child and seriously injure them as you might do at 30 miles an hour. Even with the design of cars and roads being as good as they are now, the human brain hasn't really advanced that much, and it still takes at least 1 second between seeing that child or something come into the road and actually slamming on the brakes. And if you think on the motorway, if you're travelling at about 90 miles an hour, that's you're getting up to 50 metres you're travelling in 1 second alone, so that's quite a distance in 1 second.
The Humberside Force has worked with local authorities around the Humber to identify areas where speeding is a problem. One of them is this 40-mile-an-hour stretch of road running near Raywell.
Okay, this road, it's subject to a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. There's been complaints from the residents in the past about the amount of speeding along here. Therefore, the local authority, in this case East Riding Council, have carried out a speed survey that does show there is quite a high degree of speeding on this road. That, coupled together with a number of injury collisions on here and the fact that there are properties both sides of the road and no footpaths, means it's scored highly enough for it to be a speed tasking. So therefore we're here obviously enforcing the limit, giving advice where necessary and prosecuting if we have to.
Within 30 minutes we stopped 3 vehicles for speeding, with the highest being 8 miles an hour over the 10% plus 2 limit the force stopped someone at. It may seem odd not to stop someone no matter how far over the limit they are, but Simon says it's all about being sensible with motorist and police time.
Obviously point out the offence that they've committed. I've got the evidence here on the laser device, and see what sort of excuse or reason they have for travelling at that speed. All 3 of them, very genuine people, very apologetic, do realise why I'm here. They've taken some advice and hopefully they're going to take that away from them. Perhaps if they're travelling a bit faster, then they'll be either referred for a speed awareness course or prosecuted.
The message from Humberside Police is to be sensible with speed when on the road.
Not at all, because the majority of the problem is just that, probably 5 to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, which, as we've said before, can be the difference between life and death. Yes, there are the very high speed offenders out there, and we will detect those, but we're looking at education for the lower speeds and then the full force of the law for the higher speeds.
Still with me in the studio are Ben Jones and Rob Distant from Cleethorpes band Chariots, and we were talking before obviously about your musical style and your influences. Obviously August the 22nd, big date for you guys because you're at the Meridian Showground, aren't you, supporting the Pigeon Detectives. How much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, really excited. Yeah. Really excited. It's going to be great, yeah. Our second gig, and to be playing with such big names like the Pigeon Detectives and the Brew, another local band, our mates, and they're a great band. And then Little Barry, who's in Primal Scream as well. And so to be playing with 3 bands like that, and it's our second gig, we're so lucky to have the opportunity, you know. It's great. We have to really thank Solid Entertainments for that. Get a plug in there. Steve Stanley at Solid.
There are other musical outlets as well.
Oh,
though.
there is other ones, yeah. But no, hey, buy local.
But this is it. I mean, within this area of Lincolnshire and East Yorkshire, there is a very vibrant music scene, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I mean, what's it like being part of that family?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I suppose there's been new musicians, and it's only our second gig or whatever, and we kind of stay a bit aloof from other scenes because, like we said, it's very much a different sound to like all the modern bands.
Yeah.
We're going for something that's almost like a time capsule, and it's like it's almost sacred, this music to us from the, the 60s and the early 70s.
Yes.
So we've sort of remained slightly aloof from that. And then I suppose we would fit in because just by proxy we're local, aren't we? So we are in that, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, like you said, playing your second gig at the venue with who you are is a big achievement, considering you've not played your first gig yet.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Next weekend is our first gig, and then second gig.
The first gig is at Blind Cat Festival at Cabourn Harbour. I don't know if we mentioned that, and that's a psychedelia festival for bands who are much more like us.
Right.
Well, they're from all over the country, and it's a big outdoor event. I think it's a 3-day thing.
Okay.
And but that's all the psychedelia thing and the 60s thing and all that going on.
Yes, yeah.
So but then at the Cleethorpes Rocks event, it's going to be good because all the bands will be sort of slightly different genres, so it's something for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good mixed match of music that day, of all the different bands playing.
And plans for single album, are they on the cards?
Yeah, we're constantly recording. I think what sets us apart from a lot of other bands is we record our own material, so we don't go to studios and have to pay for it.
Yeah.
We're sort of all quite adept at doing that ourselves, and we know our sound we want. So if we do it ourselves, it's how we want it to be, you know, it's like completely from the core up, organically, it's exactly what we want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, note perfect, and every sound is exactly how we want it. So we do that, and whether or not, with regards to releasing it, we've had some great label interest from some psychedelia record labels and stuff. I won't say any names yet because it's all in talks on Facebook. I mean, also a distribution company have spoke to us about releasing it ourselves through Spotify, and a lot of these people do it online nowadays. But these other labels are just on about doing some vinyls, and with the big limited edition gatefold artwork, because I'm big into the art I was talking about. And that's
but
very much our
vinyl
thing.
Seems to be having a resurgence.
That's it, the resurgence,
doesn't it?
It's coming back. It is coming back.
I know my 50-year-old son has discovered vinyl.
Really? Wow. See, that's
shock,
it. That's great. Yeah.
Well, you go down to HMV in town, it's got Mumford & Sons on vinyl. It's got all these other bands on vinyl.
They're all looking at vinyl. One thing, Rob, with you, I mean, we did touch on it earlier, but how many musical instruments can you actually play?
Well, I play over 30, all sorts of weird, strange, like ethnical foreign instruments, and different types of pianos, and some of them are just guitars, but different types of guitars. So there's like different variations in the way you play it, like the bottleneck slide, or so there's But I'd like to play a lot of different things,
And all of that is going to be in the sound.
All adds to the compositions and rounds it out. Gives it a really full sound.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, that's all we've got time for, but you must come back and let us know how things are progressing. And
we'd love to. That was great.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your
Cheers.
gig. And if people obviously want to get tickets, they can find them, can't they?
They can find us on Facebook. It's Chariots. If you type Chariots,
on Facebook,
then it should come up and says we're from Grimsby and all that. And then if you inbox us or whatever, we can get you some tickets sorted out. Brilliant. Or go straight to Rob Distant on Facebook or Ben Jones. Yeah.
We can find you. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Now, joining me for another daily look at what's been happening in the regions is Erica Barker. Erica, we haven't got any more lycra-clad cyclists, have we? Not after last night.
I'm not talking about men in the shorts anymore.
Good.
I'm going to start with a serious story. So in the Grimsby Telegraph, a haulage firm in Grimsby has slammed the French authorities over the migrant crisis in Calais. So for people who don't know, I'm sure everyone does know about it though, but for the past month, migrants have upped their attempts to get into England by trying to pile into the lorries in Calais to get over here. Now, this crisis is approximately costing the UK haulage industry £250 million. So it's a lot of money. This company in Grimsby, Evans European Transport, they're based on Wilton Road Industrial Estate.
And that's the thing, the lorry drivers that are trying to get out into Europe are facing big delays, aren't they, as well as those trying to get back into the country. It is costing the UK, like we said, a lot of money, and these firms who aren't going to get that money back, are they?
No, and that is what this firm is saying. They're saying that they're having to bear the brunt, really, of the cost of failed crossings. And they feel that the French authorities are not doing enough to secure the border.
Something needs to be done because, like we say, costs are being paid in all places, aren't they?
I mean, the
really?
thing is, it's an awful situation anyway. I
It
know about
is.
the migrant crisis, and it has been in the media lately about people, maybe not being sensitive enough to it, because at the end of the day, these are people, and everyone needs to remember that.
And
this
people
isn't
that are
good for
desperate
anybody.
as well, aren't they?
People who are in desperate situations, desperate need. Nobody's benefiting from this, are they? And it is awful what's happening to the firms and the firms from our region. And it's also our thoughts are with the people that are going through what they're going through to try and get over here as well.
Okay, moving on. What's your next story you've come across?
So this is such a sad story. So a dog, they're looking for a dog that, in the Harbour area. Now this is what's the breed of the dog? It looks a little bit like a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, but the dog was seen with its back legs bound together with duct tape in an awful condition. Now people are looking for this dog, and they've set up a Facebook page for people to be able to go on there if they've seen it. It is Hope DN40. So that's Hope DN40 for anybody that thinks they've seen this dog in the Harbour area.
And have the police been alerted to this then? Are the RSPCA involved at all?
I'm not sure, to be honest. This was an article in the Grimsby Telegraph about this dog. I assume there would be. The RSPCA are aware of it, and they have been sending out people to search for the dog, but they've had no luck.
It's disappeared because obviously in that area there's all the major roadworks going on at the moment as well, and I suppose the dog's frightened and scared.
No, definitely, and there have been several sightings. So let's just hope that the dog is found.
Well, the other thing, got to mention this, is there's a smell in the town at the moment, isn't there, Erica? Which has nothing to do with us, I have to say.
Nothing to do with me.
But this smell on Facebook,
Yeah.
people, what do you think it is?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I was in the office this morning, wasn't I? And I said there was a smell, and I thought it was
You
someone in the
blamed
office.
Dave Nunn
I did,
and sprayed
yeah.
him with deodorant.
I thought it was Dave, and then I realised it wasn't.
It does smell like manure, and maybe the farmers are out there spraying fields at the moment.
Maybe that's what it is.
You would hope so, don't you? It's not a fishy smell.
It's not Dave. We'll let Dave off.
But people have taken, I know, to social media today, just complaining about that smell because it's not very pleasant.
No, it's not
isn't
very
it?
pleasant.
The wind's in the wrong direction.
When I get back to the office, I'm going to look into it, and I'll let you know tomorrow what it
All right.
was.
Thank you for that. Now it's back over to Erica Barker, who's bringing you the sports news.
Yorkshire County Cricket Club's Andrew Gale has announced he is to step down as captain of the A-list and T20 sides. The 31-year-old has missed the last 3 Royal London One-Day Cup matches for the Vikings because of a wrist injury. Yorkshire in the short term have handed the limited overs captaincy to Alex Lees before deciding on a long-term successor. In football, it's been reported that Grimsby town manager Paul Hurst could be bringing in new recruits ahead of the start of the season on Saturday. Marcus Marshall has been ruled out of the curtain raiser at Kidderminster Harriers after damaging his medial ligaments in the pre-season victory over Boston United. Elsewhere, Hull City have signed Chuba Akpom in a season-long loan from Arsenal. Elsewhere in rugby then, and Hull Kingston Rovers forward James Green will be available for the Ladbrokes Challenge Cup final despite being accused of a shoulder charge in the Robins semi-final win over Warrington. Green has been charged by the Rugby Football League's match review panel with an offence on Warrington ringer Jeannie Ormsby in the 50th minute of his side's 26-18 victory at Headingley on Saturday. And Louth Town men's senior team have been forced to fold with too many players leaving the club for pastures new, meaning they won't have enough players to fulfil their fixtures. Now, if you do have any sports stories, you can email me news@estuary.tv. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you to my guests Rob Distant and Ben Jones. You can catch Chariots next weekend at the Blind Cat Festival or on August the 22nd at Cleethorpes Rocks. If you have a news story for us, contact us the usual ways. Until next time, goodbye.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Thursday, a rather cloudy and damp start to the day with some patchy light rain and maximum temperatures of 23 degrees. Friday, mainly dry with sunny spells and light winds.